everybody, this is Dina Eisenberg of SpeakUpPowerfully.com, big old co-working enthusiast, and soon to be owner of Beacon Co-working. I love the idea of co-working. I love the people in it, and it really sort of resonates with who I am as a person in terms of the 5 values. So I knew I wanted to have a co-working space of my own. But what I didn't know was how to do that in the most efficient, effective, and heartful way. And so I reached out to women of co-working who I consider brilliant and wise and witty. And today I'm speaking with Jen Ross, and she's from Water Cooler Hub in Tarrytown, New York. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you here because you're one of the very first people who encouraged me in co-working. You were like, "Come on, girl, just reach out there and do it." And so I'm slowly making the baby steps. So for today, it's a big, it feels momentous to be able to say to you that I have a couple of things in place.
Yeah, it does feel good when you start lining those up and it starts to feel real.
Yeah, having a name now makes me feel a little more real. Ooh. So your space is kind of a suburban space. So how are we classifying that? Because I know that there are a couple of different classifications. There's rural, there's suburban, and there are urban spaces. And it's usually tied to population, right?
Right. I mean, our particular town, we're in Tarrytown, so we share a zip code with Sleepy Hollow. And so together our total population is about 24,000. Now that includes children too. So in terms of adults and freelancers, we're really working with a pretty finite number of people. But being that I myself was a freelancer in this community and knew so many people in my town, had worn so many hats, I had a really good gut feeling that if I created this, that they would come. And that's exactly what happened. I did my research on a very peripheral level. I took my own list and I sent out a monkey survey or survey monkey questionnaire. And those that really responded with an affirmative, absolutely, we would use those services and we would pay X amount. And so I was able to get a very quick read on my community and also just speaking to people every day. And the resounding response was yes, they would use it.
And so when you're going out to talk to people, because this is an issue that comes up all the time on the listserv, and it's actually the key thing that most of the women have said when I asked what was the biggest challenge. They said educating people about what co-working was.
Right. And the term co-working is a little bit tough to understand because most people think of co-worker and then they think of this kind of office setting, which it's not. No. So the term is a little bit confusing to people in a way. When I first started researching, I had never heard of the term co-working, and I was using the two words shared workspace in order to do my research. And eventually I got to co-working, but it wasn't the first thing that popped up. And it is all about educating people in your community and helping them to understand the nature of how these spaces work and how they can interact and become a part of them without necessarily losing their identity or taking anything away from what they already have. It's really adding to whatever they're doing.
So you have a little tagline that you use, and your tagline is what I first started using to describe what co-working was. So what do you generally say?
Well, our tagline that's associated with our name is "Work Together Independently."
Yeah, that's it.
Of late, we've been changing that a little bit. We still have that, but we're now focusing more on work, learn, gather, because those are the things that we do. So our new postcard has that model, and our new website is going to be more about those 3 pillars, because on a daily basis, people are coming here to work during the day. In the evenings, they're coming here to learn something new. We have tons of workshops and events that happen here constantly, and some people are using it as their soapbox. Some people are coming to our workshops. We do plenty of social events as well. So we're really trying to sell ourselves more on those 3 platforms.
What I noticed about your site and just generally about your space is that you're really community oriented. I noticed that you have like an internship program going within your community. Will you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So when I first opened my space, it was really important to me, as it's always been in my life, to be a connector, to be part of and a buttress to the community that I'm in. So it's all about those synergies and those connections. And as a small co-working space in a suburban place, the more people that you have on your team and working for you and spreading the word and collaborating with, the better it's going to be for you. So we immediately reached out to our international language school, which is EF International. It's a worldwide company, and they place interns in businesses in the area. So since we've opened from the very beginning, from building the furniture, and the fellow I just said goodbye to is our most recent intern from Italy, we have had these students here on a regular basis. Our members are all welcome to use the intern for free as a way of helping them work on anything from doing an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign to online research to editing books in some cases to doing PowerPoint. So they really get, the students get a whole lot of experience in terms of not just learning language, which is what they're here for, but also a variety of different fields that they can now better understand. And our members love it because here they have this free intern that is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to do anything. And they really do a great job.
And I bet, just having to articulate what your idea or service is to somebody new really, I can think, springs new ideas. It clarifies where you're a little muddy. So just the exchange of having that person with a new frame of reference look at your project or service is such a benefit.
And I love when they interpret co-working. This summer we had the grace of 3 interns.
Wow.
One from Spain, one from Italy, and one from China. And I asked them to do some research for me, and it was really amazing to watch them, hit the dry erase wall and work together and write it down. And they ended up doing a blog for me on what they had researched, and it was really fabulous to see their side.
Yeah.
They brought a whole other thinking to something I would have never have gone to where they went, and I love that. And they love being here. So.
That's the serendipity of it all. I mean, that's the part that excites me so much.
Yeah.
Is that just being in the space with somebody can bring new energy, new life, new perspective, and when you're working by yourself, you need that.
And every day is different. I mean, to me, that's the splendor of co-working, is that every single day when we come in here, it's never the same. And the other beautiful thing that I love to joke about is that there's no office politics.
How is that possible?
You just don't care what the guy next to you is doing. If he's on Facebook all day, it's not has nothing to do with you, and it's probably his business anyway.
That's
true.
And
you're not getting paid by the same person. Nobody owes you anything. It's really all about, you look great in purple. Every day we pay each other compliments all day long.
Okay, I'm down for that. But I mean, even in those situations, even though people are sort of engaged in being social and being in the co-working space, there have to be times when natural behaviors, rub.
You're right. I mean, I got to say, in the 2.5 years that we've been open, there has never been a single dramatic incident that I can speak of.
That's great.
One time somebody was speaking too loud and somebody got annoyed. That's it. We really operate a very smooth ship. As soon as people come in here and get introduced to the space, our first line of educating them about how to behave in the space is communicate.
Yeah.
You don't want the heat on, you don't want the air on, you want the air, somebody's left dishes, tell them. Yeah. This is all about communicating, and no one should hold anything in our space. And they do. They constantly are letting the other know in the sweetest of possible ways, X, Y, or Z. So
good to hear. Although, kind of puts me out of business as a mediator, but no problem.
Maybe it's just Tarrytown water. I don't know.
It must be it's the general gestalt of co-working people is that they are open and they are generous and they are going to really, if they possibly can, communicate in the gentlest, kindest of ways.
And the space owner plays a big role in being that core stability and connector of your members, and sort of setting the tone in a way.
I think that's right. So, your space is 2,000 square foot, right?
Without the common areas, it's about 1,500. It's pretty small.
So how does that work? Is it easier to manage a smaller space? Harder? What would you say?
It kind of feels like my living room, and people come to visit me all day long. It's pretty comfortable. I don't find it difficult to manage at this size. We're opening up a second space soon that's going to be almost 4 times as large. I'm a little nervous about that and managing that space, and I'm going to have to hire people, which is, again, a whole new area of business that I'm going to have to get comfortable with. Hiring, managing a much different model. And it's in a city. It's in White Plains. So now I'm dealing with a slightly more corporate setting. Right now, if for some reason something goes wrong, everybody's like, okay, Jen, no problem, see you later. But if your 5-person team that's sitting in an office and your IT and your internet goes down, that's a whole different animal. If they're,
Maybe.
they may be as patient as my folks here, but I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a little bit more corporate in a way. Right now, in our space, it's very casual, and we like to keep it so that people, will take their shoes off and sit on the sofa. And, we don't mind. And we're dog friendly, we're kid friendly. It might be a little bit different in White Plains as we sign on to this very different space.
Is the space more corporate?
It sort of will be in the end because it's got 20-foot ceilings. It's going to have more private offices. It will have a much larger event space / day tripper space, and it's just going to be it's going to be a whole different feeling space. It'll still have our comfort and our colors and our inherent generosity of spirit while you're there. That I hope doesn't change, but it certainly will feel a little different and look a little bit different because of the fact that it has so many more private offices and conference rooms, and it's going to have more walls.
Yeah.
We'll still play with our lighting and play with our art and bring in fun things, which is important. I feel your 4 walls around you are what inspire you and make you think differently and step outside your own comfort zone. So that won't change, but it'll be a little different.
What inspired you to start the new space?
I need to make a living.
Yes, that's a good thing. Yes, I heard about that.
It was just about if money didn't matter, I couldn't care less. I would be happy to do this all day long and just keep this. But even though we better than break even, the ability for a smaller space to make a substantial income is challenging. You will do better as a business if you can have above 3,000 square feet in order to get that critical mass, in order to have the ability to host parties and events and rent your space out, in order to have as many day trippers as possible and people who are coming to use your space for conference room use and virtual office services. There's no way that this space could truly be a money maker. I mean, it does great for what it is, but it can't be a living in Westchester.
Okay. I mean, you're the second person to tell me, one person said absolutely over 4,000 square feet, and you're saying absolutely over 3,000 square feet. And I guess that makes sense. Is it about the desks, the number of desks you have, and the number of folks?
Yeah, I mean, it's about the ability to sell, for the most part, your unlimited membership or your day tripper, to maximize the number of people that are in your space at any one time, as well as maximize the use of your conference rooms, being able to do larger lectures, being able to separate space. Right now, it's very difficult for me to separate the public-private spaces. So when I have an event here, everybody's personal assets are still sitting on their table. And I have to tell my full-timers goodbye. At 6:30 we have an event going on. Sorry. In a larger space, you can have your full-timers and your private offices separate from your event space. And that makes a big difference in terms of your ability to have those functions happening simultaneously and keeping your dollars up. For anybody who isn't running it as a business, that's fine. Some people just want it as a place for themselves to work and their friends to work and to create a community, and it's not about making money with the co-working. It's about the freelancing. For me, it has to be about making a living. And now that my husband is full on board with me, it's about both of us making a living.
There you go. I like that.
So, we really have to make it work, and the next space is going to afford us that. And you have an economy of scale that happens.
Yep.
And we're actually thinking of opening a third location in 2014 if we can. So,
wow.
To keep the ball rolling, and certainly it will require investors and to give away a piece of the pie, but in order to succeed at this, we've decided that we have to get bigger.
Yeah, and I think that the trend is sort of going towards that. In talking to some of the other ladies, I hear more talk about sort of franchising.
Yeah.
There's more investor talk on the listserv.
Yep.
And so, it's kind of nice to be at the beginning of the growth phase
Absolutely.
of the movement.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about licensing as well. Not so much franchising, but licensing a version of this where we basically provide the identity and the website and the user's guide and add templates and people could have a water cooler wherever. I've been warned against that too because some people have had a very hard time managing how other people interpret and execute your vision.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work so well. So you really have to partner with the right people and know that they're to fulfill your vision in the same way that you would like it done.
It's a much more intimate process than I think people understand because the opportunity sounds so great. I'm just going to spin myself off in 5 different places and all those people pay me, which is great. The downside is that you have to be very clear about what all your expectations are. You got to match up value points. So what you value is got to be what they value.
You spend all this time building a brand, and someone can tear it down
for you. Yeah, very easily, or without you even knowing, because you won't be there to see them do all the things that you would not want them to do.
Right. At the same token, they may bring new things to the table that you hadn't thought of.
That's
but
exactly it.
It's definitely a risk.
It is a risk. I know. It's funny because co-working space is a little bit like potato chips. When you have one, you're thinking you need to have another. So I've been thinking about having my space in Oakland, and then I thought, well, Alameda is just 15 minutes away. Wouldn't it be great to have 2 spaces, one in Oakland, one in Alameda? I mean, I don't think anybody starts with the intention of just having one and keeps it that. If you, Jen, were given advice, and I'm hoping you're open to doing that, what are the 3 things that you would say to somebody who, like me, is just starting out?
I guess number 1, surround yourself with people who can lend other expertise that you don't have. Don't be scared to take on partners and people that can really complement your assets. Number 2 would be create an environment that you yourself are inspired by so that you are as comfortable and as in sync with your own space as you can possibly be, because that's going to really rub off on the people who come into your space. Yeah. And then once your space is up and running, be conscious and aware that 95% of the people that walk in the door are going to love your space and love the concept and tell you they're going to threaten to join, and they're going to tell you they're coming back tomorrow, and they're going to sign up for your highest level membership, and then they're not going to call. And then you're going to think, that's funny, where are they? They were so gung-ho, and they mean well, and they've got the best of intentions, but so many people don't follow through. And so at first, every day I'd come home and I'd say, oh my God, 6 people walked in today and they're all going to join and we're going to have this great group starting tomorrow. And I'd get one of them. So be aware that all that love doesn't turn into marriage.
Okay, it's a marathon, not a sprint, people.
And you're always working on getting more members and always keeping to build that, because don't ever stop the marketing machine. And getting press. I mean, I've been so lucky. I've been able to really spin a lot of press for myself, both locally and nationally.
Yes,
and
you have.
It's because I'm active on social media, and I talk to everybody, and I'm not shy to. You have to throw away modesty, and I'm a fairly modest person, but I have to be out there saying I rock, and rocks, and water cooler rocks. And you just can't stop being your own cheerleader, because people do hear you, and then they want to talk about you. So that's all good.
Good to know. Hard to do. So I don't know if you know Robert Lipton. Do you know that television program called The Actors Studio?
I don't.
Oh, okay. It's a fun program.
I live under a rock, essentially.
You mean have other things to do. Anyway, he has his television program is for celebrities, and they come on, and essentially they're talking about whatever project they have going on and about their past. And he always asks them this question about, what's your favorite curse word? And so I didn't want to be asking people that. Although I will admit that I asked Rachel, and she's like, "Here's my favorite curse word," and that was too much fun. But I decided I would ask other people special questions. So for you, I have to ask you, what's the one thing that people don't know about you that they wouldn't guess?
The one thing that people wouldn't guess about me.
Yep. And you were good enough
Well,
to
hold on
tell me
one
this
second.
in
I'm going to go
advance.
get something and I'm going to come right back.
Okay, come right back. Wow, this is going to be fun. I'm going to be totally surprised and at the same time that you are, because I have no idea what she's gone to get.
So I grew up on the Upper West Side in Manhattan with pretty funky parents and pretty loose household.
Okay.
So people, see me in my current state and pretty, pretty
Together, gal,
yeah,
yes.
what? So I'll see if I can get this pretty close. This was me in eighth grade, and
Oh!
it's it's still undecided if it was Halloween or just another day in eighth grade.
I'm certain it must have been Halloween.
Don't know. So it was just kind of a fun little thing. So,
That's so cute.
but in light of your asking people curse words, one of the things in my family that we did every Friday night was we had 2-minute curse, and we were allowed to curse out my father for 2 minutes and say as many curses as we could possibly think of. And it's tough to curse for 2 straight minutes.
Yes,
And then after
yes.
that, we couldn't curse again.
I love that. Now, see, no one would know
2-minute
that.
curse.
But that, you actually, that might be a good business technique.
Eh?
I deal in assertiveness, so maybe part of it is just go into your office and curse for 2 minutes when you're mad at clients.
2-minute
Thanks.
curse, my favorite.
That was so great. Thanks so much, Jen. If
You're
folks
welcome.
want to know more about the water cooler, get in touch with you on social media, since you're a big social media gal, how could they do that?
Our website is watercoolerhub.com, and our Twitter and Facebook pages are both Watercooler Hub as well. And my email is Jenifer with one N at watercoolerhub.com. And always happy to answer questions and talk to other people thinking of starting a co-working space. One of the things I love most about the co-working industry and helped me so much is that generosity of spirit and camaraderie, and everybody is so happy to help each other. It's like, you finally found your clan.
It is. I do sound like I found my tribe again. I'd lost it, but I'm back. This is my tribe.
It's good people.
Very good people, and I'm happy to be part of the community. So if you're wanting to learn more about co-working, the women of co-working, drop by the co-working wiki and sign yourself up, because there's a ton of good information. And come back for the next Women of Co-working Chronicles. This is Dina Eisenberg saying, be heard and prosper. Thanks, everybody.